if I can figure out how to use this mic here. So I appreciate the opportunity to tell you guys a little bit about the North Florida Prescribed Burn Association, who we are, and kind of what we're up to. Our president is Charlie Farr, who's here in the audience. Ben Williams is our vice president, and I'm a board member. My name is John Herbert. So really, what I want to do is I want to tell you guys who we are and what we're up to, but I really want to start out by telling you who we're not. We're not contractors. We don't pretend to be contractors, and we don't want anybody to think we're contractors. And that includes prospective PBA members, so I'll talk a little bit more about that. So who are we? We're a group of landowners that cooperatively help each other burn our property. And the quote here is actually from an email that we send out to prospective members. When we get a contact from somebody, we send them an email telling them, in part, yeah, we're a group of landowners who cooperatively help each other burn our property, and we've got some other information in there that I'll get to also. One of the things we have as a policy is we have what we call a sweat equity policy, and that is every one of our members is expected to help other people burn on their property before we'll burn. If I come in as a prospective member, it's going to be made clear to me that I'm going to help other people burn their property before I get my property burned. And I've found that to be really useful for a completely unexpected reason. I've helped people burn on their, I've been the burn boss on a burn on somebody's property and didn't find out until later, even though they've been on burns on other people's property, didn't find out until later that they were absolutely terrified when we started putting fire on the ground on their property. And I think that's an additional benefit for requiring people to actually participate in burns, because they have some idea of what to expect when you go out onto their land. So again, we've got the sweat equity policy where we try to weed out people who want to have somebody just come in and do a prescribed burn on their property. Okay, this comes off of our website. The purpose of the North Florida Prescribed Burn Association is to facilitate the safe and effective use of prescribed fire by promoting landowner cooperation and providing resources, education, and training necessary to return fire to its natural place in our environment. And I've got the words resources, education, and training highlighted here because I want to talk about that in a couple of slides coming up. Okay, so back to who we're not. Again, when we get an email expression of interest from somebody, we've got a form on our website that people fill out. And we respond to them, and again, this comes from that response email. Please note we're not burn contractors. Other places to get information are, and then we send prospective members to other sources if they're really looking for a contractor. We've got people who'll send us an email saying, I just bought 400 acres of property and I need to have a prescribed burn, help me out. Well, we need to have a conversation. So this is a map of the general area of the North Florida Prescribed Burn Association, 17 counties, ranging from Nassau County in the northeast to Levy County on the west coast, go down into Volusia County. So this is the general area where our landowners are. So what do we do? Well, for our members, remember we talked about providing resources, education, and training necessary to help landowners responsibly conduct prescribed burns. But where I think, and I'll tell you right now, the number of burns and the number of acres that we have conducted this last year is not going to impress anybody in this room. In part because lower number of burn days, in part because we're burning smaller burn blocks. I really think that where the Prescribed Burn Association brings value to us as a group here, everybody in this room, is in outreach. And I'm going to talk about some of our outreach efforts here in a minute. So going back to the resources, training, and education, resources, we've got 104 members, 104 different landowners in our organization. And we got more folks on our email list. We got people who are interested in prescribed burning who are not members. Most of our members, but not all, are landowners. We've got some people who maybe it's part of their job, maybe they just have an interest, maybe they have some experience conducting prescribed burns, but they don't own land, but they want to participate. That's great. And I'll use myself as an example. I got interested in prescribed burning because a guy from the FWC Landowner Assistance Program came out to a lakefront piece of property that I own, and we were talking about this and that, and he mentioned prescribed burning. He mentioned that hey, in a month there's going to be a prescribed burning for wildlife management class in Quincy. Well, I don't own any property. But I'm semi-retired, I got some time on my hands and I like to learn things, so I went up there and I participated. Took the class, and then got roped into the Prescribed Burn Association, even though I didn't own any property. So what can be more fun for a guy like me than to go out in the woods, light fire to somebody's property, not go to jail for it, and ride their four-wheelers while I'm doing it? So, hey, I'm in heaven. And then through a fortuitous turn of events, I actually ended up owning property up near Worthington Springs. Okay, so I started out as a PBA member, didn't own any property. Now I own land. Let's see, let me go back to my slide here. So most of our members, but not all, are landowners. Several of our members have gotten the certification so we can actually go out and boss burns. We can have multiple burns going on the same day. We rely very heavily on the Electrical Conservation Trust. They provide a lot of resources for us. They provide a lot of backup, a lot of experience, and help keep us on the right track. But the whole purpose of the Prescribed Burn Association is not to have ACT bossing all of our burns, but to have us get certified so we can help other landowners burn their property. So we may have, I guess when we started out as an organization back 3 or 4 years ago, all of our burns were bossed by Barry Coulette. Now we can have 3 or 4 burns going on simultaneously because we've gotten landowners trained and certified. Okay. So as far as the educational component, I like to think of education as classroom type stuff and training as out in the field and getting experience type stuff. So for education, we have lots of workshops and presentations to help educate our landowners and our members about various prescribed burning activities. We just had a S212 chainsaw safety class about a month ago. We have herbicide application and record keeping workshops. Sometimes they're in as part of our annual meeting. We've got an annual meeting coming up this next month. Workshops on fire weather. The National Weather Service folks have come and given presentations to us, either as standalone workshops or as part of our annual meetings. Writing prescriptions, invasive species control. There's a lot of overlap between the PBA membership and the North Central Florida invasive species, the SISMA, the North Central Florida Invasive Species Management Area. A lot of crossover between our members and that organization, and I think that's in part because we're interested in managing our property, and we see fire as a tool for doing that. So we're really concerned about invasives on our landscape. Technical and financial assistance, the FWC Landowner Assistance Program we rely heavily on those folks. Conservation easements, we're encouraging our members to sign up for conservation easements. And then PBA-sponsored landowner tours. We just had a set of landowner tours, time's flying by, I think it was just last week, where every year we have tours where we take people who are either, some of them are not PBA members, largely PBA members, but not exclusively, taking people on tours of property where we've burned the previous year or two, so that we can see what the response is. We can talk about what were the challenges, and we can see. If you notice here, you're not going to see a picture of fire in my presentation, because I think when we're talking to the public, we need to be showing them what the response to fire is. You and I may look at a backing fire and say, "Boy, that's pretty tame." And I've shown pictures to friends of really tame backing fires, and they're scared to death. What the hell are you doing? So that's why, as part of our outreach to the public, I think we need to be focusing not so much on the fire, but on the response to the fire. What is it we're trying to accomplish? So in these landowner tours, we go out and we visit properties where there's been some kind of activity. Maybe there's herbicide work that's been done. Maybe there's, almost always there's fire involved. But in some cases we've planted longleaf, in some cases we've planted wiregrass, lots of different things that the PBA does that we want to educate people about. Training. Again, I tend to think of training as hands-on, out in the field type stuff. So again, we've got invasive species identification and control, primarily through the use of herbicides. Herbicide application. A lot of times we're working to control hardwoods and not invasives when we're using herbicides. Largely what we're trying to do is reestablish pine, primarily longleaf, and in some cases we got people who are just overrun with hardwoods, and we use herbicides to help control that. Habitat restoration, we've participated in a lot of, I won't say a lot, but a number of efforts where we've gone out and planted longleaf, we've gone out and planted wiregrass in preparation for, as part of habitat restoration. Obviously prescribed burns, and then post-burn evaluation, and that kind of goes back to the landowner tours, but in most cases, we're encouraging our property owners to observe and evaluate the results of fire. You don't just go out and burn it and you're done. You observe the results and see how well you achieved your goals. Supporting others. The Prescribed Burn Association helps out a lot of other organizations. For instance, the Northwest Florida Prescribed Burn Association has recently gotten started, and we provided them what we call our foundational documents. We provided them our charter and other documents to help them get started. The Prescribed Fire Working Group, as part of the Florida Forestry Association, we've coordinated with them. Florida Forest Service Stewardship Committee, we've got several members that are on that committee. Coil Forever events, we help those folks out. Back to the Lacho Conservation Trust, they provide a lot of support to us, and in turn we provide manpower for them when they're conducting burns. They're under contract, they've got grants to perform burn a certain number of acres per year, and we help them get that done. And as we're helping them get that done, that's another training opportunity for our folks to get some experience working with more experienced burners. And then I guess it was it September? Again, time kind of flies here. There was an inaugural Prescribed Burn Association Summit hosted by Tall Timbers. And I went to that, and that was a wonderful opportunity to share with folks from other parts of the country what we're doing and to learn from them. I was really surprised when I went. I thought it was going to be people from Florida, Georgia, Alabama. It turns out there were people from Oklahoma and Kansas, people from Wisconsin, North Carolina, South Carolina, a lot of prescribed burn associations from across the country sharing information, and that was a good experience. So we're participating in those kind of things. Back to public outreach. The Flatwood Fire Festival was mentioned earlier. We helped fund that, and we had a table at that event. Coil Forever events, we participate in those. We get various invitations to speak at public events. So again, where I think the Prescribed Burn Association brings some value is in our outreach to the public. We're trying to do everything we can to get the word out that prescribed burning is a good thing and to educate people about that. Back to our landowner, actually, individual member land management tours. We've got several PBA members who host tours on their property to show people how they're managing their land, and fire is a big part of that. So people get to go out there and they get to see things like this, the result of prescribed burning on the landscape. And then our PBA sponsored landowner tours, which the public is invited to as well. So more public outreach. One of the things that we've started doing in the last couple of years is we are offering scholarships to folks to take the certification class, the in-person certification class. And what we're not offering this to PBA members. We're offering this to folks that we believe are going to be advocates that are going to be interacting with the public. So we've sponsored 2 individuals so far, both of whom I believe are IFAS extension agents. The point is we want to educate people about fire who are actually going to be day to day in contact with people who don't maybe know a lot about fire. And we're taking applications now if you know of anybody that might be a good applicant. This is a partial list of collaborators. I apologize if there's anybody in here who we collaborate with who isn't on this list, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we collaborate with a lot of different organizations to try to help them spread the word and move the ball forward. There's one other thing I want to mention here, and that is that what I would like to see is the North Florida Prescribed Burn Association and Northwest Florida Prescribed Burn Association have a collaborative effort, be seen as collaborators with everybody in this room. That we're not in competition with contractors, because I was thinking about it this morning. The average burn unit size that I've worked on has been 20 acres, 50 acres. I don't think I've worked on more than 3 burns that totaled in a day more than 100 acres. So I don't think we're not in competition with contractors. Again, we don't want to be seen as a contractor. I'm hoping that people will see us as an advocate for prescribed burning, that we're burning smaller properties, and that we're helping move the ball forward. So with that, I'll take any questions. Sure. So what Charlie's saying is that this is Charlie for our president. He's putting in a plug for our annual meeting, which is going to be at the Waukesha Forestry Center, November 11, from 8 until noon. And anybody here is welcome to come. Yeah, you don't have to be a member, don't have to pay your dues to come. What's the mechanism for joining? Well, if you go to Google, North Florida Prescribed Burn Association, you go to our website, I hope you'll agree, we've got some useful information in there. There is a place to submit an application to join. It'll go to our president, who will probably send you one of those letters that says, one of those emails that says, we're not a contractor, we're a collaborative group of folks who help each other burn, and then we'll follow up with that. So the question is, looking at the map that shows our catchment area, as we call it, have we burned in all of those counties? And I believe the answer is yes. Charlie says he doesn't think we burned in Nassau County. We've got members in Nassau County, but he doesn't think we burned there. I think for the most part, we burned everywhere that's on that map. We've probably got some time, but no more questions. Maybe I'm helping us get back on schedule. Okay, thank you.